As mentioned, my name is Janet Lee Sheriff. I'm the president of the Clean Energy Association of New Mexico, which is a new organization formed within the past 2 years, dedicated to providing information and education on in situ recovery technology, uranium extraction, and nuclear energy. We've been quietly working in the communities with companies, and recently did a trip to Crow Butte, Nebraska, to look at an ISR facility with some community members who will present the results from that trip as well on our agenda. But this is our big event. I believe in conversation. I believe that it's important to start with a seminal event, and we hope that this continues. I do want to thank our sponsors. There's been a lot of great companies that have been behind this, but two in particular, Grants Energy and Encore Energy, which is now Verdera Energy. 2 years ago, I met in Crown Point with Craig Bartles and Mark Paliza, who are in the back of the room, and we talked about the need for an organization like this. We wouldn't be here today if they hadn't had that vision. And I thank them both for a wonderful day in Crown Point that led to this. We have a fabulous agenda. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I do want to say that 10 years ago, I came with some colleagues to New Mexico to see if it was time to talk about uranium extraction. We met with representatives from the Navajo Nation and decided we were early. 2 years ago, we revisited that. We're at a point in the United States where there's a huge demand, and New Mexico is blessed, and some people may not see it that way, with a lot of uranium and a lot of potential with the labs and the enrichment facility to really lead the country. But we need to decide collectively where we're going. And I hope that, if nothing else, we're left with that at the end of the day. With that, welcome, enjoy. There's a standing mic at the back of the room for questions. Charles Lundstrom is also available with a hand mic, so please, at the end of sessions, if you have questions, ask away. I'll be your moderator today, and our first speaker will be John Indall from the Uranium Producers of America. John, did you want to come up? And please enjoy. It's a beautiful facility, and I hope we have a lot of great conversations. Thank you.
Good morning. I am John Indall, and I've been involved with the uranium industry since 1978. Recently retired as an attorney, but I'm still, I named myself the Senior Policy Advisor for the UPA. I would briefly like today to highlight some of the issues that are churning around in the nuclear fuel cycle, which are many. I represent an association of uranium producers and conversion companies that are working to return the production of uranium, domestic uranium, in nuclear fuel to a necessary and meaningful position in the nuclear fuel cycle. Let's see here. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the nuclear fuel cycle, but I thought I'd briefly go through it. We start out by extracting material, then we process it into what's called U3O8, uranium yellowcake. It is then transported to a conversion facility at Metropolis, Illinois, where it's turned into a gas, uranium hexafluoride, UF6. It then becomes transferred to the enrichment facility, which is the only one we have in the United States, is located in Eunice, New Mexico. And there the gas is pumped up to U-235. From there it goes to a fabrication facility where it's turned into fuel pellets that go into the rods, and they are then go to the nuclear power plants where the steam turbines create the electricity for the domestic, for the users, end users. Briefly about the Uranium Producers of America, we were founded in 1985 to promote a viable domestic uranium industry. We currently have 20 members, which is an all-time high, and with operations in 14 different states. The 6 of our members are actually producing uranium at this point in Texas, Wyoming, Arizona, and Utah. It is generally acknowledged by most policymakers that nuclear power electricity must expand to provide reliable, clean baseline energy to meet future electricity needs. UPA members represent critical components of the nuclear fuel cycle towards achieving the U.S. goal of quadrupling U.S. nuclear energy by 2050. Nuclear energy is a key source of clean, secure, and cost-effective power. It's one of the most dependable energy sources, and it provides 20% of the total electricity in the United States. Now, that 20% number has been pretty consistent for many years, which is a tribute to our nuclear generators, because they have been, as electricity requirements have gone up, we've still maintained that 20% level by getting more production and more productivity out of the existing reactors. Nuclear is the largest source of carbon-free electricity in the United States and protects the air quality of generating electricity with no carbon emissions. It's a powerful technology. One uranium fuel pellet is about the size of a gummy bear, and that creates as much energy as 1 ton of coal, 149 gallons of oil, and 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas. There are many innovative nuclear technologies that are currently under development and will depend on steady and reliable uranium supply. Some of those include conventional light reactors. The recent Vogtle plants in Georgia have come online recently, and the first plant was over budget and over time, but the second plant was on budget and on time, which I think reflects the idea that we can do this now and on a timely basis. We also have small modular reactors. I'm sure most of you have heard of the reactor that they're building in Kemmerer, Wyoming, that Bill Gates is promoting. That is actually under construction. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has allowed construction to proceed before final approval of their permit, which is a major advance in the construction of new reactors. There are also advanced non-light water systems, such as sodium-cooled fast reactors and molten salt reactors. At Idaho National Labs, the Secretary of Energy testified last week in the front of the Energy and Commerce Committee in the House that there will be at least 3 prototypes critical by the 4th of July. So they're making great advances in that area. So the nuclear power outlook is extremely strong worldwide. We have 438 operable reactors. 69 have come online since 2015. 72 of these reactor units are under construction, and 437 are planned or proposed worldwide. China and India are leading the way in new reactor construction, but they're building reactors everywhere, from South Africa to Poland. I mean, it's amazing what's going on as we need more and more electricity for lots of different uses. Some of the end-use applications for nuclear energy are base load electricity, obviously, for the power grid, supply dedicated power for energy-intensive infrastructure like data centers. It's amazing what the AI world has created for the demands in electricity, electric vehicles. I was in a congressional office in Virginia recently, and the congressman was telling me that he'd gone to his local utility and said, if everybody in 2 subdivisions got an electric car, what would that do to your demand? And they just threw up their hands and said, we don't know. So it's obvious that we're going to have more and more electricity. The SMRs are also being looked at along with microreactors to support remote and off-grid military and industrial operations. The Department of, I guess it's the Department of War now, but when I used to talk to them, they were the Department of Defense. Anyway, they're looking at in places like where they had in Afghanistan or Iraq, so much of the injuries to people were created by taking fuel out to these advanced remote bases. If you could put a microreactor there, you don't have that issue anymore. It's a game changer. The nuclear landscape in the United States, we're, as I said, deriving about 20% of our electricity from nuclear power. The existing reactors provide about 65%, the majority of our nation's carbon-free electricity. In order to satisfy clean air and climate change objectives, the use of nuclear power must increase and continue to play a major role in a diversified energy supply mix. U.S. utilities are the world's largest consumer of uranium, and they, with an annual demand of about 47 million pounds annually. In the U.S. Production, a couple of years ago we were at 0. Production is currently making a comeback. We did a recent survey of our UPA members, and we indicated that the existing producers right now that are permitted and operating by 2027 should be up to about 5 to 7 million pounds. With the proper pricing and permitting scenario, we could be at 33 to 45 million pounds by 2033. Starting from 0, that's a fairly major accomplishment. Uranium is essential to the national security because we have to use unobligated U.S. origin uranium. It's required for the defense purposes. What that means is the extraction, the conversion, and the enrichment all has to be done by U.S. companies. Right now we have several mines going that can produce the uranium. We have one conversion facility in the U.S. which was closed 4 years ago. It's now up and running about half speed, but it's there. We have no enrichment in the U.S. that's U.S. origin. The plant in New Mexico is owned by the Europeans, and by treaty and law, they cannot produce material for defense purposes. So to remedy that situation, the Congress in 2024 unanimously passed the Nuclear Fuel Security Act, which provided $3.7 billion. They kind of rechanneled some money that was supposed to go to the utilities to address the nuclear fuel cycle and the problems we're having. Recently, 4 companies were awarded several $100 million each towards getting their projects moving, and a couple of them I think are planning to be up and going by 2030. The U.S. origin uranium powers the U.S. Navy fleet of carriers and submarines. It provides source material for weapons, tritium production, and depleted uranium that's used for weapons. In 2008, testimony before the House Energy and Commerce Committee, a representative from DOE testified that the unobligated stockpile in the U.S. is finite and diminishing. That's not really surprising because that material was created from 1948 to 1966 under the Atomic Energy Commission's uranium procurement program. So it's going away. In 2026, in February, the UPA members were meeting with NNSA, and we were told that they were going to begin starting in the very near future to start buying uranium again for the stockpile. This is music to our ears, obviously. So we're going to be producing for both the federal government and the stockpile, and then for the domestic utilities. As nuclear power generation expands, the supply-demand curve for necessary uranium continues to expand, and the demand is vastly outdistances supply. I used to call the supply-demand chart JAWS because it is huge. The World Nuclear Association, WNA, has projected a production gap of 49 million pounds by 2027. This could increase to 1.7 billion pounds by 2040 without substantial increase in production. So the need is there for what we have. As Janet indicated, New Mexico is in a great position to provide leadership in America's nuclear renaissance and the fuel cycle renaissance. Grant's Uranium District historically was the largest U.S. uranium producer for nearly 3 decades. And during those decades, we were able to produce what we needed for this country. As pricing, basically put the industry out of business, we became almost totally, and needed to be coming from imports. Canada and Australia are great partners and will continue to be required, but we were also relying heavily on Russian material. Russia was providing about 50% of our enrichment up to recent times. In 2024, because the UPA was always screaming at Congress that they needed to get us off that Russian reliance, plus the war in Ukraine, Congress unanimously passed a bill to prohibit Russian imports. There was a waiver process for the first couple of years, but by the end of 27, that Russian imports will be totally gone. So we have to get in and fill that gap. Looking at New Mexico, how much uranium do we have? Virginia did all the work on this, so I'll give her credit. But in the old days, from about 1950s through 1980s, we produced over 340 million pounds. We have a known extracted resources of another 403 pounds. We also have a geologic potential for another 250 to 500 million pounds. So we are uniquely set to determine, to be the real major producer. USGS did a study a few years ago where they indicated that there was 1 billion pounds of known reserves in the U.S. So you can see we're 40% of that. So where does that leave us? We are obviously poised here. I think this nuclear renaissance is going to happen. We had another kind of hiccup back in the 2005 period where Fukushima put us out of gas. But I think nuclear power is here to stay. And we have to fuel it, and New Mexico is poised to do so. So with that, I look forward to hearing a lot of the talks we're going to have in the next couple of days and get into a lot more nitty-gritty. But I wanted to give you just a quick view of what we expect. Thank you.